Right now, something in your house is quietly controlling your entire day. When you wake up, when you eat, when you leave, when you sleep, and you almost never stop to question it. That thing is the clock. And for most of human history, it didn't exist at all. Around 1500 BCE, in ancient Egypt, someone noticed a simple, unavoidable fact of daily life. Shadows move. As the sun crawls across the sky, the shadow cast by any tall object shifts predictably, hour by hour. Egyptian builders began carving vertical markers into stone, creating the world's first true timekeeping devices, capable of dividing daylight into measurable segments for the very first time in human history. But there was a problem. The moment the sun disappeared behind a cloud or set beneath the horizon, time itself seemed to simply stop working. So the Egyptians and Babylonians tried something stranger. The water clock, known as a clepsydra, measuring time through the slow, steady drip of water from one vessel into another. For the first time ever, time could be measured at night, indoors, on a cloudy day. Measured, tracked, and eventually obeyed. This is the story of how that happened, and how it quietly ended up running your entire life. The ancient Greeks embraced and refined the water clock further, and it was the Greeks who gave alarms their very first mechanical form. The philosopher Plato reportedly designed a large water clock rigged to a mechanism that produced a whistling sound at a designated hour, allegedly used to signal the start of his own lectures. Arguably, the world's first recorded alarm clock, built entirely to make sure nobody showed up late. Ancient China developed its own sophisticated timekeeping traditions independently, including incense clocks, which measured time through the slow, steady burning of specially calibrated incense sticks, sometimes with small weighted balls attached at specific intervals designed to fall and create a sound once a certain amount of time had elapsed. Chinese astronomers also constructed remarkably advanced water-powered astronomical clocks, some elaborate enough to track celestial movements alongside the passing hours. Across every one of these ancient civilizations, the underlying obsession remained strikingly identical. Humans wanted more than simply an awareness that time was passing. They wanted a genuine, reliable signal, and increasingly, they wanted something that could actively wake them, warn them, or remind them, without requiring a person to stand watch the entire time. The true turning point in timekeeping arrived in medieval Europe during the late 13th century with the invention of the mechanical escapement, a genuinely ingenious mechanism using a controlled, ticking release of energy to regulate the movement of gears at a steady, predictable pace. This single breakthrough made truly mechanical clocks possible for the very first time, independent of sunlight, water, or burning incense entirely. These early mechanical clocks were massive, expensive, and typically installed in cathedral towers and monasteries, where their rhythmic bells rang out across entire towns to call monks to prayer at specific, disciplined hours throughout the day and night. For the first time in human history, an entire community's daily rhythm could be organized around a single, shared mechanical device, rather than the more flexible, sun-based schedules people had followed for thousands of years prior. Monastic life, in particular, depended heavily on precise timing, and it's widely believed that the disciplined structure of monastery schedules was one of the strongest driving forces behind Europe's rapid advancement in mechanical clockmaking during this era. By the 15th century, European clockmakers had miniaturized mechanical clock designs enough to create the first genuine portable timepieces, using coiled springs instead of hanging weights to store and release energy. This breakthrough eventually led to pocket watches, transforming timekeeping from a massive, shared, communal experience into something an individual person could carry in their own pocket. The first true alarm clock designed specifically for personal home use arrived much later, in 1787, when an American inventor named Levi Hutchins built a mechanical alarm clock for his own use. There was one significant limitation, however. Hutchins' device could only ring at exactly 4 a.m., the specific hour he personally needed to wake for work each morning, with no way whatsoever to adjust the setting. It wouldn't be until 1847 that a French inventor named Antoine Redier patented the first fully adjustable mechanical alarm clock, finally allowing anyone to set their own personal wake-up time rather than being locked into a single fixed hour, as Hutchins' original device had required. The Industrial Revolution transformed clocks from rare, expensive luxuries into genuinely mass-produced household items. Factory production techniques developed throughout the 19th century allowed manufacturers to produce reliable, affordable clocks at a scale never before possible. And for the first time, precise timekeeping moved decisively out of cathedral towers and wealthy households and into the homes of ordinary working families. This shift carried enormous social weight beyond simple convenience. Industrial factories required workers to arrive at precise, coordinated times, and the widespread availability of affordable clocks and alarm clocks became directly tied to the rise of strict, scheduled work shifts that industrial society increasingly depended upon. Historians studying this era have directly connected the mass availability of personal timepieces to the broader cultural shift toward punctuality, scheduling, and the disciplined structure of modern working life. Today, the clock has splintered into forms ancient Egyptian sundial builders could never have imagined. Atomic clocks accurate to within a single second across millions of years, smartphone alarms capable of gently easing you awake with gradually increasing light and sound, and the small clock display quietly running in the corner of nearly every screen you look at throughout the day. And yet, strip away all of this modern precision, and the underlying purpose remains exactly the same as it was for that first Egyptian sundial builder watching a shadow crawl slowly across the ground. From a shifting shadow marking the hours, to a whistling water clock signaling Plato's lecture, to the gentle alarm easing you awake on your phone this very morning, humanity has spent nearly 4,000 years chasing the exact same goal, learning to measure, predict, and ultimately obey something we can never actually see, hold, or slow down: time itself.